Kiss my aesthetic, branding, marketing, entrepreneurship.
Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. I have another 3-letter creative co business owner on the line. Hi, Emma.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
don't I
God.
don't have a co at the end. That's the only difference is
Oh,
I'm just
true.
ESM Creative. So we both got those
ESM
dots too.
Creative. For anyone who doesn't know you yet, and we've only quickly become fast friends in the last few months, but I've followed you forever, and I think we've been in a lot of the same spaces. But for anyone who doesn't know you, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Yeah, so my name is Emma McGoldrick, and I'm the founder and lead designer is my current title. It changes regularly, but of ESM Creative Studio. We're a branding and illustration studio based in New York City. So I mainly do personal and small like business slash creatives branding, and then also a big illustration component to the business as well.
Oh my gosh. I followed you since I'm trying to figure out when I maybe first came across your account, but it's been a while. I want to say, because I can remember where I was living when I started following you, which was like 3 spots ago. So that would have been like 2020, maybe the
Okay.
pandemic is
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I
yeah.
found your account. Because you and I both have a love of color
Oh
and
yes.
have a lot of brands that are just really fun and really beautiful and engaging and creative and colorful. How do you describe your style to someone who's never seen it before?
Yeah, I would definitely say I always struggle with this because I feel like feminine has like unfortunately a negative connotation when it comes to branding sometimes, but my style is very feminine. It's feminine, it's colorful, it is full of energy. Yeah, so it's kind of has that feminine touch, which I used to kind of shy away from saying that, and I think it's because my personal style, like as a human, I'm not very feminine. So I
Mm.
struggle like kind of embodying that. Like a lot of my friends in person, like or people I'll meet in real life, they'll be like, oh, like I want to see your work. And I'll show them my Instagram or my website and they're like, oh, like there's a lot of pink on here. I'm like, yeah, yeah, there's a lot of pink. Um, they're always surprised. Like, I think they're expecting it to be like neutral and like mainly blacks. And like, I'm very like type A and I wear a lot of black, aka the New York City uniform. But my illustration style is very like bubbly, outliney, lots of texture, all the fun things.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get into all that with your design style and aesthetic and everything. But let's
Yeah.
rewind it to the beginning.
Okay.
Let's tell people kind of how you started and how you found yourself in the freelance graphic design, brand design space.
Yeah. So I started doing design work in college. Totally. I honestly can't, when I think back to it, I can't really picture like what made me start like learning Photoshop or Illustrator or any of those things. I started with Photoshop. And it was because my college gave us like it was like free to download on your computer. I was like, oh, I guess I'll hack around in this program a little bit. But I was a biomedical engineering major in school and I got really like bored slash like I didn't see myself doing it for like the long term. And I had started doing design work for like clubs I was in and also just like for myself and watching a lot of YouTube tutorials. And I was like, I love this world. And for some reason, I didn't even know when I was growing up slash like, I didn't know graphic design could be, I knew that design was a thing and I had always been kind of artistic. Like I took art in high school and, my mom's super artistic and an incredible watercolorist. And so she was big inspiration and kind of the opening the art world up for me. But I just didn't know that like you could be a logo designer, you could be a brand designer, or even like an illustrator was like an actual career. I always thought it was something people did on like the side, or it was like, I don't know. I just kind of didn't have this whole conceptual idea of what I was getting myself into. And so my junior year of college, I decided to switch my major to marketing because my school, I went to the University of South Carolina, and my school didn't really have, I think it's a lot more robust now, but it didn't really have a full graphic design major. It was more of a visual communications within the journalism school. And I wasn't sure that I wanted to go full-fledged graphic designer. So I thought marketing would be kind of like a good, like dipping my toe in the pond of creativity, but still having like a business degree when I was graduating. And so I changed my major and I kept doing design work on the side. And at that point, that's like when I say, so I started doing design work in like 2016, but I say that I founded my company in at 5 years ago. So what was it, like
18 by
2018?
now?
Yeah, 2018 would be like my founding year because that's when I actually started like promoting it. I created an Instagram account. That was like my first post on Instagram. So that's what I say as my like established
Mm-hmm.
date.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So March 2018. But yeah, so I started doing that and I started actually like talking about it and putting it out there, which I think is like the hardest part. I still didn't have like a website or anything. I had an Instagram account and a Google Drive link I would send to people if they need a quote unquote portfolio. Um, and so I started doing a lot of work locally in my college town. Columbia, South Carolina is like a really, honestly, I would live there if it wasn't my college town. It's a really cool, kind of like fun people were doing cool stuff, like new restaurants and like cool branding. And so I started doing local work. My first client was my yoga teacher that I would go to regularly. I like I would say yes to things I had never heard of, and I'd go home and Google, teach
Mm-hmm.
myself how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd barter, I'd like trade. I loved in college, it was amazing because I was like, I worked for this grocery store, this like bougie, kind of like healthy grocery store. And I did some design work for them and I would like trade groceries. And I was like, heck yeah. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
in college, that's like amazing. And same with yoga. Like I would trade yoga classes for doing design work, and so on and so forth. And so yeah, that kind of opened up the world of it actually becoming a career. And then in 2019, I started working for Gals in the Go podcast. My senior year of college. They were looking for. I listened to. It was like a very. I feel like it was the right place, right time. Weird,
Totally.
like happening. But I was like really, really into podcasts. And they were like some of the first influencers to start a podcast and to like actually create a business out of it. They were so on top of the game for doing that at the time they did it. And at that point, I had listened to like a ton of like how I built this and like the kind of
Mm-hmm.
more like businessy side of
Mm-hmm.
podcasts. And so
Mm-hmm.
they reached out or I reached out to them and asked them to, if I, I was like, I heard you're looking for somebody to cover. Like, here is some ideas I have for the cover. And then also here are some other ideas that other podcasts are doing that you guys could either A, further monetize your podcast, like B, grow the audience. Like at that point, they didn't have a separate Instagram for the podcast. And that also wasn't really popular back. Like it was
True.
the hosts of the podcast would have an Instagram, but not necessarily like one for the Instagram. So, yeah, it was, I think that's kind of what made my email stand out among like, I'm sure they got so many emails, but starting to work for them is what really launched my ability to go full time out of school. And so when I was graduating from college, I had interned in marketing between my junior and senior year in New York. I knew I wanted to come here, and I also was in a long term relationship, and he was moving to New York. So I was like, let's do it. Now's the time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I um, I gave myself 6 months working for myself because I had applied for some marketing jobs for some traditional quote unquote 9 to 5s. And I was really shocked by the price tag on those jobs, like the salaries. I was like, whoa, like this is so much lower than I ever thought
Mm-hmm.
I would be
Mm-hmm.
making out of college with like a business degree. So um, I kind of had known at that point I'd been doing more research on like pricing. I had taken a couple courses. I had listened to every podcast that ever existed about becoming graphic designer. At that point, there wasn't that many. And so I gave myself 6 months. I had worked in food and bev and like been a babysitter all through college to pay for school. So I knew I had some things to fall back on if I needed them. Like I could get a barista job, I could nanny in New York. There's, it's a city of opportunities. So I did that and I moved to New York and I went totally like balls to the wall
Hell
on
yeah.
on like networking and on it was a big price tag at that point. Like for me, I was like kind of like, should I do this? And it's the best thing I ever did because I still have clients from joining this co-working space I joined when I first moved to New York. So I joined a co-working space and I would go to, they had like book club and like networking events at night. And like they'd have authors come in and they'd have, there was one event for like Cara Delevingne. She was there. Like it
My
just like,
gosh.
it was like it was called, you probably know it. It's The Wing.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an all women's co-working space. It came up during COVID that it was like super corrupt, and so I didn't
Ah,
rejoin.
lovely.
It's still around, and yeah, so all good
Ah,
things must end.
Yep.
um, but I still have like several clients from either from people that connected me to them via the Wing or people I met at the Wing. One of my like favorite clients to this date is a woman who stood up one day and was like, "Any graphic designers in the room?" And I was like, "Me."
Me. I could
And
do
to this
it.
day, we still have a monthly retainer. So,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Wild.
was like one of the best things I ever did. But yeah, so that's kind of how I started and how I was able to kind of go full-time freelance right out of school. And yeah, I feel like we have kind of similar stories because we're both
Totally.
self-taught and like didn't major in design and just kind
Yep.
of fell upon it. Yeah.
Yep. I see a lot of similarities in our story. And I think that the most hilarious thing about when I go back and read old reviews is there's so much emphasis on design style, but really what keeps clients and what keeps them coming back is being organized.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
And I know
And so,
this is a
yes.
huge passion for you. You have your podcast,
Oh
Sorted
yeah.
Pod. You were selling me on Notion. Like I'm like, I know if I open Notion, there's going to be no going back. Like, I think I need to use it for my birthday party is the first thing I need to like
Oh,
put in all of our birthday
I
stuff.
just made a retreat or a itinerary for a trip that I'm going on with friends, and they all were like, "Emma, like,
You're
I like they
insane.
love it
Yeah.
and hate me at the same time."
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
what's you ask your guests what's in their desk drawer, but what desktop programs are you using? What are your browser bookmarks? That's what I want to know.
So I use Chrome, A.
Okay.
And then
Perfect.
B, I use so I have 4 emails open at all time. I have my personal, I have my regular business ESM Creative, I have my podcast email open, and then I have an email for I host retreats for female entrepreneurs called Golden Arrow Guild, and I have that email open as well. And so in Chrome, a lot of people don't not like I feel like when I say that, like
Yes.
it's just one of those
No.
things a
Hit
lot of
it.
people don't know. And it not like everyone it's just something I
Are
didn't
you
know
about to
until
blow my
I
mind right now?
so you can have tab groups for each email.
Stop.
So
Emma.
I have tab groups for each of these emails. And then you can, if you have like, for example, for my retreat, we're ordering stuff for the goodie bags right now. So I have like all these Amazon tabs open, but they're in that tab group and you can like close the tab group so you don't see those. Yeah, it's the best hack on Chrome ever to exist.
I know this is a podcast, but my jaw's on the floor. Dang
It's
it.
so cool. It's such a great. I'll show you. I'll share my screen later. But
Please.
it's the
Please.
best way to keep like multiple. If you have like multiple businesses going on, or if you have like a. Sometimes I know some freelance friends of mine, or from some studio owners of friends of mine, will have an email set up with like a regular retainer client that they
Sure.
they want to keep it in house or whatever.
Sure.
So like you can do it with that. Some people you can also
Wow.
set up like separate Chrome like.
I've
I
done
don't know
that
what they're
before.
called.
Profiles.
But those are annoying because then you have to like slide between
Click
them.
in,
This
click
is on
out.
just like
Yeah.
one Chrome tab, like one Chrome window.
What?
So
So it's
yeah,
like a folder,
it's
like
like a
a.
folder in your window. Yeah. And it slides open and closed. And then I keep a couple things pinned. I keep like my Instagram pinned at the
Yeah.
front. So then I
Yeah.
always have that open. I have my
Same.
Instagram pinned. I have my TikTok pinned because I like
Mm-hmm.
pull links all the time from there for different stuff. And then I have one other thing pinned. Oh, I have pinned, LinkedIn pinned because I'm trying to be better about posting LinkedIn, but
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
I struggle with it. It's such a
Right.
pain. And I also just feel so silly being like, hello. Like, I don't know why
Uh-huh.
it's still social media, but it's just like all my friends from like college are on there and I feel
Yeah,
like
it's
they're
more
like
stiff.
annoyed. Yeah, it is more stiff. So,
Huh.
but yeah, that's on there. But
Okay.
yeah, that is the best. Then Notion, I have the desktop app. I swear by it. I have a Notion workspace for all those things I just mentioned. And I have hubs for all my team members on there. It is my holy grail. I make all my clients portals on there, so that's how like I communicate with clients
Fabulous.
and via email. That's kind of it. I am a big and Slack. I use Slack for like my team and for like we have a Golden Hour Gold Slack, and I just
Mm-hmm.
like Slack. I know some people hate it, but
I like Slack when it's used well. I dislike
yeah.
Slack when things like conversations about certain things aren't put in the channels that they're supposed to go.
Yes,
Because
100%.
then people lose track of details and it's like
Yeah.
it's counterintuitive to even using the program.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree.
You know?
Yeah, my team members, we use it. We have like organized channels. We make like a channel for each project we're working on, so that like
Mm-hmm.
if we have any notes, instead of like sending it as a DM, just like in your DM chat, we send it in like the. And they know I'm so anal about it, so if they send it in a wrong channel by accident, they'll like delete it and then send it in the
and
right
put
channel.
it in the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've learned, all learned
We
that
have
I'm.
that.
Yeah.
We have that too with Basecamp. So I've been a
Yeah.
diehard Basecamp person for like 9 years, mostly because this is the tool that my mom used and kind of trained me as
Oh,
her
cool.
interior
Okay.
design business. She trained me. This is how you use this for business. And this is what I like about Basecamp is you can toggle on certain things for the client to see and then for them to not see,
Yeah, that's really nice.
which is really handy because maybe I don't want them to see all the to-do lists for an 8-week project. I just want them to focus on this week's to-dos. So we can toggle
Yeah.
those off so that it's not visible. But what other organization tools? Notion is your holy grail, like you said. Do you have
Yeah.
other things? You organize like notes in your phone some crazy way. Like I know you have more. Like tell us your secrets.
I will say one thing really quick based on what you said about Basecamp. I
Uh-huh.
think that with organizational systems, like from honestly, I would probably love Basecamp, but I'd have to like train
Totally.
myself on it and move everything
Totally.
over there. I think it's whatever, like I think when people are talking about organizational systems, like if you already have something in place, like master that. I feel like
Totally.
it's everything can kind of work for you. Like they're all fine, you know. They all have their pros and they all have their cons. Like with Notion you can't toggle on and off or something like that, so
Sure.
that would be like a nice addition. But it's also just like what you make the system. Like if you just have to
Mm-hmm.
kind of commit to one, I feel like, because I feel like when I was first starting out I was so overwhelmed by all the systems, and I also was like I'd try them out and then I'd be like this doesn't work for me. Like it could have worked for me, I just needed to like
Mm-hmm.
actually put my effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so with my Notion, and then I also use Hello Bonsai for like invoicing, contracts, all that nonsense.
Oh,
Um,
I don't know that one.
yeah, it's like Honeybook. It's the same. It's all this, they're all the,
Yeah.
I
Right.
think with Hello Bonsai, I first started using it right when I guess 4 years ago. Because I just needed and it was like cheap and it was easy and I really liked, it was aesthetic. Like, honestly, that's why I picked it.
Yeah.
Cause like the
Yeah.
invoices were already like really clean and you just added like a
Right.
banner, your logo, and it was like all nice and clean and
Get it
pretty.
done.
So I liked that part of it. Since I joined it like 4 years ago, it's totally like, built out. Like I think it's like
Oh,
an equivalent to Basecamp now. So I
wow.
think I could do all like the project management stuff on it, but I just use it for contracts now. And I could also
Right.
send my contracts through like, technically like Notion and use like Adobe, like Acrobat or whatever to have
Clunky
people sign
though.
them. Yeah, it is.
Clunky.
So I pay like $10 a month for it. And I like being able to just send contracts and, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
The best
And
thing
then,
about
yeah,
having great tools, sorry to cut you off, is
no,
that
you're good.
you should always be prioritizing the client experience, right? So
Absolutely.
making
Yep.
sure that you're making time in part of your onboarding to train the client about where they're going to get things, when it's going to be
Yep.
delivered to them, how you'd like to receive feedback, I think is a big miss for like young designers. Like I used to do this, and 2015 through 2018, I was like, no, I'm just going to do it all over email. Like send
Yeah.
design
Yeah.
files back and forth in zips and Google Drive links, and so needs access. And I'm telling you, like investing in your systems is going to be the best money you've ever spent because you alleviate so much headache and you make it such a better client experience.
Yeah.
Don't you
Yeah.
think?
I 100% think and agree, not think. I 100% agree.
I definitely think
100%. I
from time
think.
to time.
Oh my god. Yeah, and I also think that like with systems like that, when when you're using it like that and your clients are interacting with it, like your client doesn't want to come on and have to like if they're paying you most of the time they're not going to want to learn a new thing just like for
No.
you. And like if it's a
Yep.
with brand design, if you're just working with them for a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is, it's not worth your time to have to like onboard them onto this like clunky thing too. So it's really great to find like something that's easy to use. And with that, another tool I love is Loom, which I know
Yeah.
you use. You love Loom, and Canva has one that you can like presentation
Uh-huh.
record. I explain it as
Mm-hmm.
like a one-way Zoom call. It's like
Uh-huh.
recording a podcast with yourself. But
Uh-huh.
I love, so whenever I set up the Notion portal for my client, I actually record a customized Loom of their Notion portal. So, and I color code it. So anything the client has to figure out, sign, look at, anything that is the client owns, I mark it in green.
Yeah.
So they know when they look at the Notion, you can really color code easy in Notion. So like any page that they have to look at is green. Any like thing they have to like sign, or like I have like a few like I have like office notes in there, and it's about like my
Sure.
office hours and like late fees and all that kind of stuff. That's all in green. And so I explain in the Loom like this is our system. You will most likely be touching it like 4 or 5 times. You're not going to have to really use it that much. It's just for us to have a place to keep everything organized, for you to put your notes, for me to put my notes, so we know we're on the same page. And that's I think what the one big part is that's nice is making a system. And I'm sure you're like that with Basecamp as well. It's more for your team, and it's like a part of something that the client has to interact with, but it's not really like, it's not like you're putting it on your client. I also
Totally.
think that, yeah, you're not like putting on your client, and it's also like something that's like integrated into your system and not really, and
And
also, yeah. Okay.
templatized.
Yes. And
Templatized, right?
templatized. You're not
Make it
you're
once,
reinventing the wheel
don't
every time.
reinvent the wheel every time. Like
Yeah,
make it so that you're cutting back on the amount of time and you're cutting back on the variables. I always kind of explained it
absolutely.
as like when you go bowling and you put up the bumpers on the bowling lane,
Yeah.
where you kind of need to put guardrails on it so that we know like this is what we're doing and here's where we're going, and we're not going to go over here or over there. You have less
Yeah.
opportunity to end up in the gutters because
Yeah.
there's like a
Yeah.
clear directive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming with Notion you're doing a lot of templates as well, project templates.
Oh, it's all templates. Yeah.
Of course.
And I also have found, so Notion, I've implemented in the last like 6 months. And before that I was mainly email and then more bonsai. And then, so I wasn't like totally systemized. And I've noticed with since doing my Notion, I call them Notion portals for my clients.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Clients also love being involved in the process. Like they love, because when you're doing design work, there's a week where I'm like, okay, I'm working on the logos, like, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
really see or like know your
Mm-hmm.
progress. And so I'll
Mm-hmm.
put like a to-do list in Notion or in the Notion portal, and I'll like check off as I'm going along, or like I can add comments and I can tag them and be like, hey, Marnie, I just wanted to let you know, like I'm working on the templates today. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything's uploaded in your Canva and you can take a look, or I'm working on, the social icons, or, whatever it is, what phase I'm
Mm-hmm.
on. I've got a lot of great feedback from clients that they love that portion of it, no matter what your system is, that
Of
just like
course.
having clients feel like they're involved in the process and it's not just like a hands off,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I found that that's a good positive of it as well.
That's how I ended up doing live streaming,
Yeah.
was showing
Well,
the process, right?
I've done some illustration live streams inspired by you, but I haven't gotten to that. I need to. We've talked about this. I'm self conscious of my design, my self taught design style, and
No,
I just
we
need
were
to
going to
do
talk about this on the podcast. This is a great
it.
segue because when we talked last week, we're like, oh, we should talk about how like the parts of your process that make you feel insecure are actually the best things to share. It sounds
Yeah.
counterintuitive, but by peeling back the curtain and showing how the sausage gets made and like finding creative ways to get stuff done, you actually create so much more trust with your audience because you're not putting out that you're 100% perfect and that you're 100% like doing everything by the book. What's the book? I mean, the world is totally
Yeah.
different from when we even went to college and neither of us majored in graphic design.
Yeah.
So
And there's 10 ways to make a circle. Like there's so many.
totally,
Yeah. Yeah.
totally. So what
Yeah.
part of your design process do you feel like you'd be like, ooh, I don't want to like let that totally be known yet?
I think that like honestly just the whole like ideation to like just like when I'm like fooling around with things and I don't like it's not like perfect yet, which it's never perfect, but like when it's not like a whole idea yet, I think that's like a hard
Sure.
part. I think I'd have to start with when I start, like, for example, when I started doing illustration lives, the first couple I did, I had a sketch already. And then like, I was like, okay, I think I could do the sketch live. And I
Mm-hmm.
got a lot more interest on the one, which I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
that had anything to do with it. I think it might've been the
Mm-hmm.
time of day or something, but people were interested from the beginning to the end. My mom still hasn't figured out how to watch Instagram or TikTok live. She's like, I was on your profile at 10 o'clock. I just didn't see anything pop up. I'm like, Mom,
You gotta click it.
I finally showed her how to do it. But
So funny.
yeah. And I was just, but that made me think of, yeah. So I included like the sketch portion in
Sure.
this last one. And I think that I just need to like let go of the perfectionism part of it. And I'm not even really a true perfectionist, but I'm like, it's
Right.
more of just kind of like exactly what you said. It's how the sausage gets made. I'm like happy to show when the sausage is in like the pot and we're putting it in casing, but I don't want to show me like cutting up the chunks of
Mm-hmm.
meat and like putting all the other
Mm-hmm.
salt and stuff
Mm-hmm.
in there. Yeah. And it's not necessarily because I like if anyone ever was like, how do you do that? I will tell you anything and at all, because I learned from other people. And so like, I'm
Absolutely.
happy to teach you. So it's not necessarily about like showing my process like that way, like being like, oh, they're going to steal it. I'm making a logo. Like anyone, if you can learn how to do that.
Right.
And you're not going to be able to like take my brain. So like,
Sure.
but,
Sure.
so
I
it's
mean,
not necessarily
what's more compelling to watch, right? What's more compelling to watch? A singer-songwriter with their final song or a singer-songwriter working out their riffs and trying to come up with lyrics?
it's why we loved the Hannah Montana movie.
Uh-huh. 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 Because how cool is it? I watched a Shania Twain TikTok this morning where she was talking about, man, I feel like a woman. That it took them weeks to get to that one liner. And the composer of the song was dead set on the end of the riff ending with a one liner that was kind of a mic drop moment. And that it took them forever to get there, but he was so adamant about it because that was his vision that they had to keep working at it, keep working at it, keep working at it. But that whole story just goes to show you that, like,
Yeah.
yes, the final result is great, like awesome, amazing. It's an iconic song, but how much more interested are we in the actual process? Because even if to Shania Twain, she feels like, I don't have it. Like, I tried this liner, I tried this one liner, I tried this one liner, and I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
It wasn't clicking. It wasn't clicking. But we, as people, I'm not a music person. I wouldn't even think where to start with something like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you
Yeah,
come up
no.
with like a zinger of a one liner? It's just crazy. So I think that that's where if we change our mindset a little bit of like, obviously the final product is going to be impressive because it's the final product. But
Yeah.
can we show the messy process? And is there something to be learned by the person who's looking to hire you to see you work through a bunch of rejects?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And to see that you like, especially people that are hiring you, they see that final product and they're like, oh wow, you did a great job. But like they don't see, they paid you for this logo, but they don't realize that they're paying you for all the ideas and all the time you spend thinking about it. And like the time I spent at night staring at the ceiling, like imagining how am I going to end that why, like whatever it is. I think it's really interesting. Like that portion of it is showing like kind of behind the curtain of,
Right.
What they're actually getting, they're actually paying for a lot than just that final product. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I also, now I want to go live, but no, I also just am not intuitively good at filming or like recording my process. Like so many people on TikTok that I watch are so good at like, just like they record, like they just set up a tripod like behind them and it's them working and they just like remember to like film their workflows and like these day in the lives or like, I want to make one of those Wes Anderson
Oh my
trending TikToks
gosh.
so bad, but I'm like, I don't own like I have a little desk tripod, but I
Okay,
don't have like
step one, get a tripod. That's a very easy fix, Emma. That's a
but
very
I
easy
like
fix.
wrote down a whole plot of like, okay, day in the life as a graphic designer, Wes Anderson edition. And I was like, have all these ideas of like shots and stuff, and it's more just like execution. I just need to do it.
Sure.
I'm just giving excuses now.
Sure,
But
sure.
yeah,
Well, now we're going to
yeah.
hold you to it. The nice
I
thing
love it.
is some of the programs that you use, like Procreate, has the automatic
Yeah.
export time lapse function. So
And
that
that's like
helps you in that part.
I've shared on like TikTok. I do a ton of those on TikTok, the Procreate
Right.
time lapse, which I feel like they kind of get a little stale. So I gotta start. I did record. I was doing a sticker design for a friend the other day, and I was like, oh, like she won't mind if I. That's also a part of it is asking clients to. I just need to be more open.
Just put it in your contract.
Any client would be, most clients I should say, would be happy to have me share the process because it's just giving more eyes to their work. But
That's exactly it.
I was doing a sticker design for a friend. So I just opened QuickTime and did like a screen recording of me making a sticker. So that was like a fun, easy like practice of like doing something like that. Cause I never had like recorded my screen that style for like a video. So yeah, I just need to be better about documenting my.
But it's also,
life.
it's a thing of like, do it in a way that's embedded to your process naturally is what I keep telling people is like, don't feel like you have to set aside time to make content when you have to do your job. So for me, going live on TikTok when I'm working on a logo, I have to do this logo anyway. I might as well go live and benefit from the 600 to 800 people that are popping in, even if they stay for 2 minutes. And then on top of that, I'm screen recording on my desktop with QuickTime. So now I've got a laptop POV and I've got a screen record because sometimes the laptop POV one doesn't look good or the lighting's weird or it's funky, but at least I have that angle and I have my narration over the top because once you go live on TikTok, you can also download the live and chop that up. And that's great. So even if you time lapse it and scooch it up, or if you go on a rant, which I do a lot, then I might chunk out that piece. And then to have the screen recording on QuickTime. And then there's also such good discourse that happens in the comment section. And it also feels a lot less lonely. And it makes it so that I'm not scrolling my phone when I'm supposed to be doing my work.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's nice, and I will put on music, and like I'm a sucker. If I'm like watching a show, I will work while I have a show on, and so like it makes me not do that. It makes me be off my phone. It's like kind of an accountability buddy, and the loneliness because that's one thing. Even if you have a team, which even if you have a team and you're not like in person, even if you were in person, you're still like the owner and like in charge of like these people, and and I'm saying that in the sense of like, they're like, their
Looking to you.
livelihoods and like their jobs, and like I care
Mm-hmm.
about them, and like that kind of not being like in charge, like I'm, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even with people around, it's still like such a lonely,
Mm-hmm.
business. And just being an entrepreneur in general, like, yeah, it's, you know, it's you. And so it's on you. So it's
Yeah.
hard sometimes. Yeah,
Live streaming is also a great way to drive people to your other content that you have for them.
absolutely.
So if somebody comes on and they say, where did you get these fonts? How did you do that? How did you outline this? I want to start a graphic design business. Where should I go? I'm sending them to the podcast. I'm sending them to the Facebook group. I'm sending them to all 80 different examples of brand designs on my page and really helping to educate them. And my favorite question is when people come on my live who've never been on the TikTok live before and they go, wait, is this a real project? And I'm like, yeah, it's a real
Yeah.
project. Like, this is my job. Like, it might be 7 o'clock on a Wednesday and I have a hard kombucha and a wine glass, but it is my job. Like, this is what I'm getting paid to do. And I'm getting paid a pretty penny to do it. So, like it kind of opening up people's eyes to what that could look like, I think is so important too, right?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
the workspace is so different than it was even just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
absolutely wild.
it's so funny. My she'll hate me for talking about this, but my little sister, she's a computer engineering major. I don't know where we got it from, but we both were like, gung ho engineering. But and she's like thinking about changing her major to graphic design,
Mm-hmm.
because she's like sees what I'm doing, and she's like, it is this weird mixture of like techie and creative. And I think
Yes.
that's why my engineering brain
Yes.
loved it. And so she sees what I'm doing when I'm home. She's a freshman in college, and she's like, this looks like, she's also very creative. She's a very good artist. She took like AP art in high school and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
very talented. And yeah, and I'm like, yeah, Edie, it's like a really great way to make a living being creative, but also being like, you have to be somewhat type A. And I think that's why we've talked about this before, but I think that's why we both do so well too. And people, I mentioned earlier, but like organization and being like able to like, so things that like I don't think should
Are that
be
impressive?
things that I don't think are that
That's how I
impressive.
feel
Like,
too.
oh my God, people will be like, you respond to emails so well. I'm like, I respond to your email like 16 hours after you sent it. Like, what are
I
you
got
doing?
complimented from an inquiry yesterday. It was a 9 a.m. discovery call, and I called him at 9 o'clock on the dot, and he goes, "Wow, and you're punctual too." And I was like,
Yes.
"Are
Oh
other
my
people
gosh.
not?" And he goes,
No,
"Yeah,
I
this
think,
agency yesterday blew
yeah.
me off for the first 15 minutes." I was like, "You're joking. You're joking."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, agencies as a whole, I've
Totally.
worked with a couple. It can be a little iffy, but not to, I'm sure there's some good ones out there,
No, totally.
but yeah. And I think that sometimes those skills, I was telling my sister this, like the skills that you think come so easy to you, and they're like, everyone has to be able to like have a conversation or interview, or like to send a thank you note, or like these little things that are come easy to some people. Those are what set you out in your business. And so like sending
Absolutely.
clients like just like a follow up, and like I save clients like birthdays on my calendar, and like just like little things that kind of add a human touch to running a
Yeah.
business, because we are a
Yeah.
creative business, so let's stay creative.
Yeah, I
So
think this was the biggest kind of eye-opening from the team retreat that I had, was that
yeah,
we now, like, being an entrepreneur now means that you get to play an active role in creating the kind of workplace that you would want to be a part of. And that is like
absolutely.
the ultimate rebellion, right? Because you have the autonomy to create the type of workspace that you would want to be a part of and that you want to attract other people to. And so much about what I talk about with my team is like, and so much about what I learned from them back to me when they were doing their interviews with the videographer was like, their favorite thing about working with our team was that we do happies and crappies every week. And here I'm
Oh,
like,
I love that.
my efficiency brain is like, oh, we got too much stuff to talk about. Let's drop the happies and crappies. Like, I love you guys, but like, I think my perception is the best way to show my team I care about them is to give them their time back and to be as efficient and as
Yeah.
respectful of their time as possible. And every single one of them, unprompted, without knowing the other person's answers, said that their favorite thing about working with this team is that we have an actual well-being weekly check-in. How are you
Mm,
doing? What's going
I
on in
love
your
that.
life? How do you feel about your workload? What are you excited about? What's dragging you down? And it's just becomes this really nice routine that feels extraneous, but it's the opposite. It's the total
I love
opposite.
that. Yeah. I
So
love
now even
happies and
our
crappies
retainer
too.
client, Happies and
So
Crappies is
cute.
just so fun. We got to do
I
Happies and
love it.
Crappies merch. I think that's the next thing coming down the pipeline.
Absolutely.
Um, but now we started doing it with our retainer clients. And
Mm.
so when we're talking to them every week about their social media projects or about their packaging projects, just kicking off a meeting with like a 2 sentence, what's going well and what's not going well? Like, how can we help? And then also because you never know what's going on with someone's life. You don't know if they have a health issue or if their family member died or if their pet is in the hospital. And to bring
Yeah.
back that human element, I think it's something that is sad that it's so overlooked, but it's clearly so necessary,
Yeah. And
right?
people, I think we've gone so far into like getting rid of that part of like business that like, and especially I'm sure with like COVID and, business infiltrating personal lives and all that, like it's kind of like this like weird fluctuation. But like, I feel like we've taken so much humanization out of like that stuff.
Yeah.
Like putting, when
Yeah.
you put a little bit back in, it makes you stand out.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely. No,
It's so
I
interesting.
yeah, it is. It's interesting that we're all, I think it's like that, what is it, like the shared human condition or whatever, like that I think that we're all looking for, connection, whether it be personal or professional or romantic or whatever it is. Like we're all in search of just like finding people that understand us, or understand what our business vision, or understand our goals as an entrepreneur, or understand our goals as a creative. And just like finding those people and like keeping them is so, and figuring out how to keep them, I feel like is
Hmm.
like the hardest part of what we do. And it's something that like, it's not just the illustrator files and the, drawing something
Yes.
and
And
creating some graphics. It's like more to that. Yeah.
that's the magic of what we're able to do, right? Is because we're able to take people's information that they share with us and then reflect back to them what it should look like if they don't
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
skill set. Like there is some, not to get like woo woo, but there's something really beautiful about showing someone that you see them, that you understand them and you see them
Exactly. Yeah.
in a way to empower them to then go live out and exist in the world in the way that they have such a sense of pride, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
really feel represented by their brand. They feel really connected with the work that they're doing. They feel really elevated by the way that they show up visually. That's the magic of what we do,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely, because I think that for I don't know about you, but for a lot of times when someone comes to me and something that they've had in mind for like forever, they're like, I'm finally ready to like create this thing. I'm finally ready to put this out in the world. I'm finally ready to start, or like I've started and I'm finally ready to like make it what I fully want it to be. And
Yep.
it's like one of those two things. It's either like getting started or making what you've already started, pretty, and adding some like intention behind it. But I
Sure.
think that part of what we do is like, especially those people that haven't really started yet and they've been like brewing on this idea for so long, like having them feel that kind of what you said, like having them feel seen and having their idea feel like real and seen is like my favorite part of what we do, because
Hmm.
it's like such a cool, I don't know, it's like this like it's helping people in a different way that
Hmm.
isn't, when I was going to college, I was like, I want to help people. That was like my reason for doing biomedical engineering. I was like, I'll be able to go to college and then go to med school, and I want to, help people. And so it's kind of weird that it's come full circle to like find another, um, it's like totally random and also like not really intuitively quote unquote helping
Sure.
field that it is like, I feel like really get to that baseline of like what people are looking for and being able to be part of like this baby that they're having of an idea of this
Uh-huh.
business. So I love
Uh-huh.
that. Yeah.
And that's what makes you want to keep going, right? It's
Absolutely.
that exchange of energy. It's the handoff. It's the showing somebody like, not only do I believe that your idea is good, I think it's so good it could look like this.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be
Excellent. Yeah.
so awesome because it could look like this. And that's like such a cool feeling. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Oh,
What are some
I'm
of
a
your
little happy
favorite
now.
projects? I know, right? So that's a warm fuzzy. That's a good warm fuzzy.
Yeah.
Because you're a shy girl who doesn't share about her
Oh,
projects enough online, tell us about some of your most favorite projects and tell us about your gifts. Are you
oh yeah.
joking me? This little known fact, gift famous.
Um, yeah, so I make a lot of GIFs on like if you search ESM Creative on Instagram under like when you looking up GIFs, or on like TikTok, I think it's like everywhere. It's that Giphy
Yeah.
app. I make them like every season. And I used to just think that it was like my like friends would get really excited. They're like, I can't wait to use this season's like Halloween gifts or whatever I'd make. And I just kind of kept doing it. And now I'm up to like, I think I checked the other day, I think it's almost 400 million views on my on my gifts, which is like so weird and
400
wild.
million is unreal.
If only they'd
That's
pay
an
me.
unreal statistic, right? Right?
Yeah, so those are fun. Yeah, if only. But yeah, so those I keep like only the seasons up when you search, and like also my like
Sure.
I call it like my core collection, which I
Uh-huh.
actually really
Uh-huh.
need to do a summer. Now that I'm thinking about it, I need to do like a fun summer one. But yeah, those are always really fun. That's a fun passion project of mine, and like I don't know, I love illustrating. I'm trying to right now my business is like 20% illustration. I'm trying to get it to like 35-40% illustration, just because I
Okay.
think that that's something that really drives me. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's currently what I'm working on with that. I do a ton of podcast covers. Those are like again, it's like those are my sweet spot. I love those because it's a mix. Usually the cover is illustration. That's like why people come to me, is because they've seen
Mm-hmm.
something I've illustrated, or if it's like people and illustration, or it's a combo or whatever it is. But I love that because it's a mixture of that branding, because I love the strategy behind branding. I love like the ideation of branding. So it's like branding and illustration combo, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
like a sweet spot with podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I do gifts for people. That's like a service I offer, which I don't post about enough, which I need to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You already know what I'm going to tell you, which is like, please share them. And share them often. No, I get into this with my sister too, because she's a wedding planner, and she has no shame posting projects that are 3 years old. And for some reason in my brain, I feel like if I've already posted about it, that it's
Yeah,
expired.
same. Yeah, I need to be better
That
about
like
that
I
too.
can't recirculate it. And she's like, no, 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 no. Like you don't have to tell them when you did it. It's if they're still using the branding, it's still a good brand, even if they're not using the branding. If it's good work,
It's
it's
still a
good
good point.
work, and it stands the test of time. But it would be so cool to see you post in a carousel like little clips of all the gifts that you've made in collections. Like here's the so
That's
and
a
so
really good
collection,
idea.
here's so and so's
Yeah.
collection, here's so and so's collection. And then I also want to see a TikTok from you that's just a rapid fire of every podcast cover you designed since you started your business.
I really should do that. And I've done I did gifts for Goop. Like I've done gifts for
Yeah,
cool clients that
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So
I
fucking
should.
share about it. That's what I'm saying. You
I
and
know.
Natalie with Baghouse. I'm like, girls, what are you doing? What are we doing? And it was so, the timing of this is hilarious because yesterday I was sharing a bunch about the Facebook group on my Instagram stories and about how I really want to turn the Kiss My Aesthetic Facebook group into like a jobs posting board.
I
Because
love.
with the recession and everything that's going on and like people being panicked about where they're getting their next project from, if I can help alleviate that and connect my
Yeah.
clients with really talented people, then that's great for me. So the Kiss My Aesthetic Facebook group, if you're not in it, definitely join. So I was sharing
Join.
yesterday on
It's great.
Instagram stories. It's a good time. Just all the recent ones that have just come in this last week, like Berta's looking for a junior podcast editor. Babes Golf is looking for photographer, videographer. Someone else was looking for someone help naming their business. I had a
Oh, that's
discovery call
cool.
today where I was like, hey, post in the Facebook group. It's probably not going to be a project we can take on, but post in the group. Go for it.
Yeah.
But then I put a poll at the end of this series that said, like, hey, Michelle, help me get hired or hire someone. And it was 100% get hired. And I was like, guys, if 100% of you who are answering to this poll are saying you need help getting hired,
Yeah.
what are we doing? It means you're watching my Instagram stories. You're not marketing yourself. Let's step it up here, you know?
Yeah.
So then it's about kind of showing up and showing your work, because people won't hire you if they don't know what you can do. So you got to
Yeah.
show
Or if
them
they
what you
can't
can
find
do.
you. Yeah.
Exactly.
They have to find you
Exactly.
to know. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always so funny, like what, like it's what takes off, like where I guess this will like time this podcast, but like for your birthday box, it just like went viral.
Uh-huh.
It's not the same at all, because but I posted about, I do this thing every time I have an empty jar of peanut butter, and
I saw
I
this
didn't make
this
it up.
morning.
A lot of people do it. But I brew a shot of espresso. I shake up the peanut butter jar, and so it like dissolves into the espresso. Then I pour it over ice and oat milk. Sometimes I add maple syrup because,
Mm-hmm.
but I've never thought of it as like that weird or like interesting, or like I've seen other people do it on TikTok. It's not like I didn't come up with it. I think I probably saw it on TikTok like forever ago. But I'm not kidding you. I counted them before this, because I was like, this would be funny to tell Michelle. I got like 32 story responses, like people that actually like responded to my story of like, A, what is this? B, this is so interesting. Or like, C, what the heck is this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just so funny, like what people like resonate with. And that's something that I like really debated. I was like, should I post my coffee? This is like kind of weird.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I need to just be better about posting more about like not only like work stuff, but also my point of the story was posting about like your birthday box and like personal projects or personal interests or like things that you find interesting that you are like interested by, because people also love to connect with other like
Yep.
like-minded
Yep.
or like people that are also interested in something. And so like showing that you're human behind the beautiful logos also has a power to connect you with, clients and, people you might hire in the future, who knows who's watching. So it's always interesting to kind of, give a variety of things that you're posting about.
Here's how I want you to ride that wave. Are you ready?
Ready? I'm scared.
I want you to take the peanut butter coffee and do mixed media video illustration on top.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
start
Okay.
illustrating it. And then on your next day that you're sitting down to go live on Instagram, you say, I had this like pseudo viral moment on my Instagram where everyone was asking me about my peanut butter coffee. So now I'm going to draw a peanut butter coffee. And then I want you to turn peanut butter coffee into a GIF. And then I want it to be like if you try it, use my GIFs.
Okay.
If you make this, use the GIFs that I made. It's this silly, ridiculous, innocuous moment. But in a way, you making a coffee out of your jar of peanut butter is so your personality. Like having only not even known you that long, it's just enough quirky, silly, while also being like, wait, low key, that's kind of a great idea. Where it just creates this moment of connection that people want. And it's one of those things that like someone could have found you from that and is now invested in that because it communicates those qualities, right? It's a very like casual, off the cuff, but I'm creative, but this is just something that I do and I love it. And just ride that wave. Because I did that with these birthday boxes where I posted the first one and it didn't perform. And I was like, wah, wah. And I had clients that were like, if this doesn't go viral, like the algorithm is broken, right? Then of course my sister posts it and it takes off and she's all proud about that. But I totally rode that wave. And I said, here's everything that I sourced and how I sourced it. And then my client commented like, how much did everything cost? Follow up with a cost
that
video.
was my favorite,
like,
was the cost one, just because it was interesting, the breakdown of like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then people were asking like, how did you make the necklace? And I was like, well, good thing I took videos when I was making them.
See, that's the thing, is you're so good about taking videos of like doing that stuff. I just need you will be proud. I did take my live videos or my live pictures I took and turned them into videos and made a TikTok out of it. So I did do that. And then I posted my TikTok to my Instagram story, which I never do. So I did that.
There you go. There you go.
So,
well, post it as a real, like this is the other thing, snap tick, snap Insta to get the watermark off to put it back on. I did that literally. Yeah. Yesterday I posted a reel that was a TikTok I made a month and a half ago because when people were saying like, oh, I need help getting hired. And what I just had a conversation with a friend of a friend on a dog walk who had a business who wasn't getting eyes on her stuff. She's like, I feel like it's too late to join TikTok. And that day I made a TikTok that said, if I were to start a TikTok account today, this is how I would do it. So that video is like 2 months old. Yeah. So I remembered that I had made that, went back to my TikTok, downloaded it, took it into CapCut, shortened it to just that one idea, and then uploaded it as a reel. And it has like 300 saves. It's like stupid.
That's because, I also think with TikTok nowadays, like I think I have like 5,000 followers on TikTok and I get tons of clients from TikTok because a lot of people, A, don't follow, and B, they'll like see something and then they'll like save that specific video and then they'll like follow up from that video, but they won't like follow. It's an interesting world of, it's like the Wild West of the internet, but I still get like tons of work from TikTok, even not having like a lot of followers. So it's an interesting, there's value still there, and that could be a whole episode itself, but just, that's all I have to say about that.
My brain is going way too fast because now, like with your peanut butter coffee, I almost want you to acknowledge how many DMs you got. Because that adds the social proof.
I posted a post. It took me like 30 minutes to make. Yeah, I screenshot all the DMs and I made them little short things. And I did. I posted all the DMs. And it was hilarious.
Then you can take the video and like have the little comments pop up like boop, 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 boop as a TikTok on its own. Yeah, that's its own freestanding TikTok.
See, I'm really bad about like, you're very good about, you'll take like an idea and you'll make a bunch of content around that one idea. And I'll have an idea, make one video or one post and be like, done. I need to.
You're going to get more leverage out of it. And it's not about being bad or good. It's about, I'm very stingy with my time. So if I have an idea that people want information about, I'd rather give them all the information than have them keep coming back and asking questions and having to answer everybody 50 times.
Yeah, very true.
right? So it's like you get your time back when you, especially if there's internet buzz, which is so hard to get these days. Like getting 32 responds to a story is unreal. Like that's a high number. That's a high number
I
for
would giggle every time I open my
a
phone.
lot of
There's another
people.
one. Yeah.
And they're like, what is, I love the one that was like, Emma, what is
Yeah.
this? You can use all those viral sounds. That's the thing. Ride the wave. For all you
Emma.
know, you're going to be doing a whole peanut butter coffee brand in a year from
Oh
now.
my
So
God. I've been working on a passion project of branding a coffee shop called I Love to Read, and it's called the
yep,
Well Read Coffee. And so like
yep.
each coffee flavor is like based on a book that has similar notes of like strong or bold or yeah, it's really cute. I've been working on it for like literally 6 months.
I wonder now we have
Now
to
we
make a
gotta
whole other
find
podcast episode. I wonder, you know how people make like cocktails out of the Bon Maman jam jars?
Oh my God, yeah.
What if you had like an orange marmalade jam jar and you made an espresso coffee because the espresso orange is such a crossover
Ooh,
flavor
that'd
right
be
now?
delicious.
Wouldn't that be good?
That'd be really good. I have orange marmalade in my fridge.
Done. Sold.
I have Bon Maman orange. I'm a Bon Maman.
I freaking knew it. I freaking knew it.
I
Why
got
did I know that?
Advent calendar. No, this is a very funny story, and it's totally off topic, but I think it will be good. I got the Bon Maman Advent calendar at Christmas,
Uh-huh.
and so every day for 25 days, you got a miniature jar. And in my mind, when I first got it, I was like, "Oh, this is heaven!" Like, and I bought one for my mom too, and we'd open it every day together, and I'd FaceTime her and be like, "Oh, cranberry, delicious!" I'd put it on my shelf. I have probably used 4 of them because I already have jam in my fridge.
Uh-huh.
And I saw that viral, like the jam jar cocktails. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I have all these jams. Like I should. So I went out with friends like this is like a month ago. And I was like, hey guys, like this is really weird. I have all these jam jars. Like I'm going to bring some and we can flavor our drinks tonight with our
Uh-huh.
jam. So I
Uh-huh.
went out to bars and would scoop my Bon Maman into
Oh my God,
vodka
I love
soda.
that. I love that. No, because the ingredients are the same, right? Like this is the funnest thing about being creative in general. It's like if you want a fruit flavor and you want it a little bit sweet, like that's what you would be adding
Add some
anyway.
jam.
Like,
Yeah.
and now you've got peanut butter jelly coffee.
I love it. The best part of making the TikTok
Okay.
was looking at all the peanut butter sounds. Okay. People are
Totally.
like, okay, shut up,
Totally.
Courtney.
No, not even. But like, okay, as in like, if you and I are left to our own devices, we will actually not work all day.
We would also like, we would rule the world. We could like, we'd come up with,
That too.
everything would be beautiful.
That too. Wow, I can't wait for you to ride this like peanut butter wave. Peanut butter coffee wave. I'm so into it. I'm so into it. Anyway, without taking too much more of your time or anyone who's now listening to us ramble about jam
peanut butter
coffee and peanut butter coffee, where can everyone find you, follow you, connect with you, and hire you for branding or illustration?
Yeah. So my website's my full name, McGoldrick.com, and that has like links to everything. But my Instagram is esm.creative. That's where you can find me on like TikTok, all the things, Instagram, Facebook, whatnot. And then my podcast is called Sorted. The Instagram is sorted.pod. It's all about organization processes at your desk drawers. And that we're just finished season 2. So hopefully we'll be back for season 3 soon. And hopefully Michelle will be on as well.
I'd love to.
And then I also host retreats. And that is called Culinary Guild. And so that is, we have one coming up in May in Charleston. So excited about that. And that's kind of it. That's a lot to plug, but that's where you can find me.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Oh my God. Thanks so much for having me. Bye.
Bye.